Hi everyone, it's Vela Day here. It just said that I had a poor connection, so I'm hoping that we can last. Internet in Costa Rica is not always the best. Anyway, welcome. Hope some of you show up today. I am giving away a copy of my new book, hi Tammy, Seduced by Flames, which releases on Tuesday. And I'm going to give it away to the person who can come up with the best topic for me to discuss. After a while, it's like, well, what do you guys want to listen to, hear about? Is it Costa Rica? Is it my books? And I'm trying to come up with stuff that would make it a little bit interesting for you. So come up with stuff. But first, I'm going to start out with last night. And last night we decided to celebrate Valentine's Day. Now, living where we do, we're about 500 feet from the beach, and all along the beach are a ton of restaurants, most of them seafood restaurants. So we walk everywhere. It's like a 10-minute walk at most just to get to the restaurant. And we decided to have dinner at 5 o'clock. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous because who eats dinner at 5 o'clock? But we wanted to watch the sunset. And we went to this new restaurant whose name I don't know. It's at the end of the street. Well, it's down the street, turn right, and it's at the end. It's on the beach. And we got there, and there was a bar area. Everything's outdoors, but the tables that are outside are completely covered with this green, screen. They had hanging, Japanese lanterns. It's very beautiful. The sun was a little intense. I will post some pictures when I'm done because I did take some pictures. We hadn't been there. You sit on the table and chairs on sand, but it's good. It was a little windy, but not too much where we were eating. And we got there at 5, and by the time we were done around 6:15, there were no tables free. The place was completely packed, and that means about 100 people. The one thing about Costa Rica is they have no concept of parking. Now, we walk, so it's not a big deal. This place actually had parking for about 10 cars, but they didn't care if they blocked in people. It's just like they just jam all the cars in, and I don't know how people were going to get out. They also park on the street, but I had to say it was the best seafood I've ever had. It was amazing. And I will post a picture. It was so incredible. I had a grilled seafood dish that had mussels, fish that was really tender, incredible shrimp, wonderfully seasoned, all in a vegetable thing, and no rice. It was just really amazing. A nice glass of wine, watched the sunset, everyone had their cameras. It was really awesome. So we had a wonderful dinner, and about 6:15, it's now pretty pitch black. We walked home, and I made a dessert. And what was my fancy dessert? I had very fancy glasses, and I filled it with Jif peanut butter, put whipped cream on top, and Hershey's chocolate syrup, and it was absolutely divine. And then we watched the movie Stargate on TV, and that was my exciting evening. But it was absolutely wonderful and very romantic, so I was very, very excited. I wanted to do a very short reading for you of an excerpt from the book. It's just 2 pages. And if you recall from Seduced by Flames, it's about Nessa Caspian, whose family owns one of the 2 big mines, the Caspian Sinclair mines. The families are related, and they are the big guardians. They are imbued with extra magic, and they are there to protect people. And unfortunately, there's been 2 other accidents at her mine, and she's in charge of safety. And if there's another accident at the mine, they're going to be closed down. So, of course, who is the perfect person to be the hero of the story but the head of the mining consortium, who has just found out that there's been an accident in the mine, that Nessa's trapped underground, and he's coming to close the mine down. And he meets the father, who's absolutely beside himself. I mean, to lose his daughter is like, he doesn't even care about the mine anymore. He just cares about hopefully his his daughter being fine. And so the hero's name is Kyle, but he does a little, who could be guilty. He talks to a few people. But I picked up the last 2 pages where Nessa is still at the bottom of the mine trying to escape. So here is just a page and a half. Exhaustion was taking a toll on Nessa. She needed water in order for her dragon to heal her. The cuts in her legs were closing up, and her wing was slowly repairing, but her energy was draining too fast. Fixing her crushed chest had taken a major toll on her animal. Nessa was forced to stop and catch her breath once more. She had dug up a good 50 feet, and it seemed as if she'd spent several hours doing that, or had a full day passed. While she was pleased with her progress, she'd had to support herself with her legs while she pressed her damaged wings against the walls. Her muscles constantly quivered and threatened to give out. The width of the tunnel was now about 8 feet wide, barely large enough to wedge her dragon body into the space. Even though it was a tight fit, it took strength not to slip. She opened her mouth and aimed her fire once more at the wall of rocks and soil directly overhead. Clay and dirt rained down on her and caused her to lose purchase again. Nessa slipped a few feet, forcing her to press harder against the wall to keep from tumbling back to the bottom. Tears fell, but she refused to admit they were tears of desperation. She wanted to believe it was her dragon's way of cleaning her eyes. Nessa refused to give up, though. Never in her life had she quit. She wasn't about to start now. Blast away the dirt, scrape, 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 melt the walls, and then climb upward. Repeat, 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 she huffed. Her mantra was the only thing keeping her going. Nessa's legs were like rubber, and her talons had dulled to nubs. Worse, her breath was giving out, meaning her fire was growing colder. Since her fingers didn't have much strength left, she closed her eyes for a second, but awoke with a start when wind blew past her. Oh shit, she was tumbling. On instinct, she stretched out her wings and flapped, forgetting she wasn't outside. The result of that momentary mental lapse caused one wing to fold in half, preventing her from stopping her descent. It was the adrenaline from the intense ache that reminded her to extend her claws in search of an outcropping to hang on to. After several misses, she finally latched onto a thick rock protruding out of the side. Her muscles shook as she tried to keep hold. When Nessa finally succeeded in stabilizing herself, she looked up. Well, crap. She estimated she dropped over 20 feet. Defeat blanketed her, but she pushed it aside. Once her breath settled down, she gathered the courage to push upward once more. This time, however, the pain from the broken wing made traveling more difficult. Her dragon wanted to heal Nessa's wing, but she told her inner animal not to waste her strength. Nessa needed her energy for her fire. Because she couldn't sleep, was wreaking havoc with her ability to stay focused. Each foot of progress took more and more out of her. It seemed like she'd been trapped for days, but it probably wasn't more than 10 or 12 hours. On her next fire blast, she stilled, then shook her head. She must be hallucinating because she swore she heard voices. That was impossible, though, wasn't it? Fueled by the fact that help might be on the way, she inhaled, then shot out a big flame. Even though her talons were next to nothing, she clawed and dug while clinging to the sides of the shaft. One thing she promised herself is that she would not fall again. Inch by inch, she traveled upward. She estimated she'd already cut through about 100 feet of the collapsed shaft. Only 100 more to go. She could do it. Her progress might be slow, but she would get there. Nessa wasn't sure what happened next, but suddenly large talons broke through the dirt above her and grasped her wings, tugging her upward. Her wing ached and her chest hurt, but the fresh air was totally glorious. When those same claws placed her on her back, she let out a sigh of relief and passed out. So that's the start of Seduced by Flames. And I hope you enjoy it. It's a love story, and the book is really about who is causing these accidents. And good luck if you can guess. What else have I been working on? Well, a long time ago, I found, well, I'm still in love with romantic suspense. And I wrote several books that were they were romance, but they were women in danger, hiding, all that good stuff. And I wrote the first book I ever published for Siren Publishing was called Verdict. And I loved the book, but there was not really any sex in it. And a friend of mine said, why don't you sell it to Siren Publishing it? It was a male and a female, and someone's trying to kill her. Actually, she was a prosecuting attorney for a mob boss, against a mob boss, and one by one, each of the jurors are being murdered until no one's left, she's next. And so the FBI is there to protect her, and the story is about them on the run, and you don't know who is there. The problem is the hero's best friend is the son of the man who was prosecuted. So she thinks the hero is really after her. And of course, he's supposedly there to keep her safe. So everything is like sort of messed up. That book, Verdict, got sold to Siren Publishing, and because it was an MF with no sex, and Siren only does erotic stuff, it didn't sell. And so 5 years later, I got my rights back, and it's just been sitting on my computer because I knew I had to rewrite it. I also wrote under the name Tia Mason. And the books I put out there, they're still up there. They're very dark thriller, serial killer stuff, nothing that Vela would write. And so they are still there. But I had two other books that I put up called Payback and Retribution that I loved. And I took them down a couple months ago, determined to actually sit down and rewrite them, which in the last month, that's what I've been doing. And they're actually really good. So they will be coming out on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, on March 13th. But before I put them up on Kindle, I'm going to offer them at a significant discount on my website. So stay tuned for that. I'll send this, it's a secret link because I put it on my website and hid it so you can't see it. And you'll get to try that. If you like romantic suspense, they're page turners. I couldn't put the book down after I fixed all the issues, etc. Had a few names wrong, that kind of thing. Reread it, and they're fun books. They don't have much sex. They do. They're falling in love. But, they're being chased to the woods, and it's freezing outside, and it's snowing, and you're not going to have sex out there. I try to have them have sex as much as possible, but, when people are shooting at you and running you down, it's kind of hard to have that. So anyway, all three books, plus the box set, are going up into KU March 13th. But before that happens, I will offer that to anybody, if you're not in KU, at a discounted price. Also, because I belong to the Wolfpack and I love the Wolfpack, I am in the Wolfpack Run on Tuesday. And you have to put a book in there that's never been on sale for them. So I picked book 10 of Wares and Witches, which is the last published book of the Wares and Witches, not the last book in the series, but it's the last one that's out. And that's book 10, Her Wolf's Guarded Heart. And that is right now 99 cents. The Wolfpack Run goes from, I think, Tuesday to Thursday, and then I'm popping it back up to $3.99 again at the end of the run. So if you're interested, if you haven't read book 10 and would like it, go pick it up for 99 cents. Other than that, I am starting book 4 of Hidden Realms. Book 3, I am in the process of editing right now before I give it to one of my last 2 editors, and then it will go up to my beta readers, of which Tammy is here. Thank you very much. And then I'm working on book 4. I have outlined the beginning and the end. I just have to work on what happens in the middle. So I do know who the bad person is and why, and I just have to sort of put the pieces together as soon as I have a free moment. So please ask sometime this week, think about what would you like me to discuss. Continue reading from my books, though if you didn't hear the first part and you couldn't get to this, it kind of is hard to read a section that people would understand without having paid attention to the story. I could read a sex scene, but I think sex scenes without context really don't have the same impact. I mean, when you're reading a story, you fall in love with the characters, at least I do, and you want to see them together. And I try to make every sex scene different because every couple is different. Some are more shy, some are more aggressive. Some guys are more tender and some guys are more aggressive. So if I put two shifters together, it might be slam them against the wall and do them. I don't know. So let me know if you want me to, what would you like me to talk about? I can talk a little bit more about my writing process, etc. So please put your comments up there, and sometime over the week I'll gather them, and then next week I will announce the winner, and I will send you a link to either Kindle or EPUB or whatever format you'd like for a free $3.99 book. So I will sign off, and I will see you next week. Bye.